Afternoon, everybody. Thanks to everybody for joining us for this 1 hour. I'm not even sure we'll take an hour webinar on 10 retail store management problems solved. 10? We could have said 101 because that's how many challenges there are nowadays when you're trying to run a retail store. Most of you are nothing short of heroes in various sizes out there because inevitably we've asked you all to do more with less every single year. That's just the way retail goes. And you should all be proud of everything that you've accomplished to date. But the reality is, there are all kinds of challenges that you face every single day. For those who don't know me, I'm Kevin Graff. I'm the president of Graff Retail. I started this company a very, very long time ago, back in '88. We have worked with literally thousands, and I mean thousands, of store managers around North America, in Asia, in Russia, in India, you name it. We've been pretty much everywhere. And what we've seen is that there's a consistency to the most significant challenges. And as we go through this short webinar, I want you to think about how impactful these challenges are for you now, but more importantly, what would be the reality of your world, your stress, the staff experience, the customer experience, and more importantly, the results in your store if we could actually solve these problems? Because they're all solvable. It doesn't mean they're going to be perfectly solved, but we could reduce the challenges associated with each of them significantly just by implementing some simple solutions. And that's what we're going to talk about today as we go through it. So no longer delays. Let's get into these 10 management problems and how I think you can solve them, at least initially. All right. So the first one, this is the one that drives me crazy. This is the one that has to drive you crazy. It's out of control staff turnover rates. You cannot get on with the business of the business, driving your business, when you have a revolving door of staff. And the reality is, this is the biggest pain for retailers because it's this 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%, 100% turnover of your staff. And as a manager, how are you supposed to get on with building the business when it's a continual arrival of new faces in your store that aren't properly trained, aren't properly onboarded, and don't really know how to drive the business? And the reality is, it costs you anywhere between a minimum of 5,000 and as much as 20,000, sometimes even more, depending on the position that you're hiring for, every time you lose an employee. And you know this to be true. Think about this. Let's say you lose a salesperson. Well, yes, there's the cost of advertising, and yes, there's the cost of interviewing them, and yes, there's the cost of training them. That probably doesn't add up to five, eight, $10,000. What's included in that number, and this is what you know to be true, it's the lack of productivity, it's the loss of sales. Because that employee, I mean, how long does it take an employee in your business to get up to speed? Is it a month? For some of you, it's 3 months. For some of you, it's 6 months. How many sales do you lose because that employee is new and they're not properly trained yet? And that's the reality. So when we think about this, I want you to think about almost like a decision tree and build your ideas on how to solve the turnover problem around two truisms that are actually true. The first one, is that no one has ever quit a company. They've only ever quit their boss. That's you. Sorry. Right? But the reality is you can't quit a company. A company is just a legal entity. It's a brand. It's a name. It's a collection of people. And for the employee, the most important person is the person that they report to. So if you thought about that, if they've quit their boss, the solution for that is, how do I become a better boss? What do I do to become a better manager, a better leader, so that these people would stay with me longer? I'll give you some ideas in a moment. But then the other truism that's also true is people don't tend to quit when they're winning. If you go to those retailers that are crushing it out there right now, their turnover rates are relatively low compared to most. When people are winning or believe they're making progress, they don't tend to quit. So now if you thought about that for a moment, you go, well, if they quit when they don't quit when they're winning, okay, so how do I make them win? How do I make them successful? Actually successful, but also believe that they're being successful. You could create literally dozens of ideas underneath each of those, how to be a better boss, how to get my staff to be successful. And in that process, you would create a blueprint of ideas on how you could drive down your turnover rate. I'm going to give you 7 short things that I think you could do. You could come up with a longer list if you thought about it. First, spend more time coaching your teams. Get out of the back office. The staff are out on the floor. The customers are on the floor. The product is out on the floor. We make money on the floor. We spend it in the office, right? Coaching is the highest value use of your time. You need to spend time talking to your staff about how they can improve. And think about this. Everybody needs a coach. Even the best athletes in the world need a coach. The Connor McDavids of the world, right? The Shea Gilgeous Alexanders of the world in the basketball world, Carlos Alexander, Alcatraz. They all have coaches, and they're the best of the best of the best of the best. You don't think your staff need ongoing coaching? Show them what's working and show them how to get better along the way. Next, make them feel like they're winning. Even when they're not winning, you have to make them believe that we're at least making progress. We didn't make our sales targets, but average baskets good. We didn't make our sales targets, but we completed the training. We didn't make our sales targets, but we got 3 compliments from customers today. What are the things that you can link to so that when the staff leave at the end of the day, they go, hey, we made some progress today. That's an important thing because if they go too many days in a row without feeling progress, that's a problem. Focus more on your star performers. The reality is, it's your underperformers that steal the majority of your time. The problem with that is that now your star performers start to feel ignored, and the next thing you know, they get recruited. Somebody makes them feel like they're valued, and you lose them. You can't afford to lose a single star performer. Fully 40% of your time as a manager should be devoted to your star performers, recognizing them, supporting them, building relationships with them along the way. Fourth, get serious about developing your bench strength. Well, if you had more bench strength, that means, and for those who aren't familiar with what bench strength is, think about it like this. Let's say you're running a hockey team and you have your starting goalie. Okay, bench strength. The goalie that's on the bench that's not playing tonight, that's your bench strength. Okay, so now if your starting goalie gets hurt, the guy on the bench has to come in. To the degree that that guy on the bench is really good and can do the job is the degree the team is going to succeed. But now, wait a minute, I brought him in to play. I have to go down to the minors and get a new goalie to put on the bench. That's my bench strength now. So now when this backup goalie gets hurt and the third stringer has to come in, how good is that person? To the degree that you have bench strength is to the same degree that you'll also start to drive down your turnover rates. Why? Because you're developing talent. And these individuals who are moving from part-timer to full-timer, from full-timer to key holder to assistant manager to manager, these individuals are the ones that are going to stay with you on a longer basis. 5, bad counting. Run better interviews. Stop getting tricked in the interviews. I say this all the time, and I don't mean this to be critical. The problem in most interviews is not the candidate. It's the person running the interview. We have a responsibility when we're running the interview to set the right environment, to establish rapport with the client, to ask the right questions, to ask follow-up questions, to draw the best, the truth out of the candidate that's sitting there. That doesn't happen very effectively over a 7-minute interview in a distracted, messy back room or across the cash counter. That's not normally an effective interview. We show people how to run interviews, and as a result, you make fewer bad hires. And you have to eliminate the bad hires because it costs you so much just to bring that person on board. And next thing you know, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days later, you're cutting bait and moving on to find somebody else. Learn how to interview better. And lastly, be a better boss. And that's a big part, even as we go through all of this presentation, we'll talk about all of the different things that you can do to become a better boss, including learning how to become a better leader. All right, second challenge. And this is really hard if you're a store manager, and these things don't exist inside your organization. Weak to non-existent onboarding and succession training programs. Listen, if you're a manager and you're in an organization now where you don't have good onboarding programs or what we call succession training programs, it's a big obstacle for you to be able to get past. But the reality is that we know there's a significant relationship between turnover rates and great onboarding. Think about this for a moment. If you track your turnover rates in the first 30 days, that's when they're at their highest. They drop in the next 30 days. It drops again in the next 30 days. By the time we get to a year, the number goes down again. So the question becomes, why do people quit so early? Well, they're quitting because they have anxiety in their job. They haven't been trained properly. They don't feel like they're part of the team. They're not finding success. Okay, so now you back up for a moment and you go, okay, I'm a manager, I'm in an organization. Or let me say this first. If you're in an organization and you have good onboarding, succession training programs, your responsibility is to execute those things at the highest level possible. Now, if you don't have those programs, well, we could be a victim and go, well, I don't have it, so I can't do this properly. Or you could dig in and just make a commitment to designing your own mini in-store onboarding process. Just know that to the degree that you spend more time onboarding them to make them successful, to feel comfortable, part of the team, capable of hitting their goals, is to the same degree that they're still going to be with you 8 months, 18 years, 3 years from now. So invest the time with them and you'll find it works. Oh, running one-off training programs that don't work. This one drives me the craziest. Maybe I'm not sure. We put people through a training program and we think they're done, right? So you and your organization, you may have a sales training program and you've put your people through it and they got the check mark, they got their certificate, they're done. It's like, and then you're wondering why they're not being successful out on the sales floor. Okay, well, it just doesn't work that way, right? We don't have the opportunity, right, to be able to train them properly. All right. Okay, so sorry, a question just as a manager, I sometimes feel when I'm training someone, maybe I'm doing an information overload. Really good question, by the way. So let me address that before I go on with this. You think you're doing a training overload. Listen, you might be, right? So think about it like this. What if you thought about developing the training this way? So you go, okay, so wait a minute. I'm going to give you a little bit of content as a learner, but then I'm going to give you a chance to be able to apply that learning, either through an assignment or better still through activities out on the floor where maybe it's a role play or maybe I'm actually at the point where I can let you work with some customers and you're beginning to apply it. And then I give you a little bit more content and then I give you a chance to apply it. A little more content, then I give you a chance to apply it. The worst examples are when we hire somebody, we put them in the back room and we leave them there for 2 days and they read some binders. Or even if we're the ones who are driving that content, it's like, oh my God, there's no application, right? Application of skills, right? So even in programs that we teach, the most important part is how do I get you to apply it, right? So hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight. But now these one-off training programs, think about it like this. I use the analogy of going to the gym to explain how I think your training needs to work. And all of you are managers are capable of doing this, even if it's not supported by your organization right now. Um, think about it. If you went to the gym and you were there for 12 hours and you had three personal trainers kicking your butt for 12 hours, unbelievably intensive, but you didn't go back, are you going to get in shape? No, you're just going to be sore. But if you went to the gym every day, but just for 10 or 15 minutes, but you went every day, would you start to get in shape? Yeah, you'd start to get in shape. And I think you want to adopt that philosophy of doing your training. So it's a little bit here and it's a little bit here and it's a little bit here. But the key is it's always there. That's the idea, right? It's always there. So training is a daily activity. PK training, technical training, sales training, safety training, training on your standards, whatever it is. But it's a little bit, it's a little bit, it's a little bit, it's a little bit, it's a little bit. And if you can create a conversation, a never-ending conversation with your staff about how you're selling and serving to your customers, you're going to win this game. You'll absolutely win this game, right? Look at your sales training program. I guarantee you the content's probably okay. Can the staff access it immediately? Or is it a program that they have to wait for it to come back around, right? Is it reinforced daily? That's the most important part. And the reality is the training program rarely works. Training has to be a system that fits into your daily operations. Full stop. We have an awful lot of people on the line here today that use our Ready to Serve program. They'll tell you it's a never-ending system. There's a little bit every day. There's a sales tip. There's a small activity that you have to do. Nothing really onerous, but eventually those muscles, the selling muscles, get really strong. Priorities, muddying the waters for the staff. Exactly what are they supposed to do? And it's hard for you as a manager. I'm sure in your organization, we've muddied the waters at time for you. We give you too much to do and too little time, right? We know it. We know you can't get it all done. What are the most important things for you to get done? And now think about for your staff. What are the most important things? Because listen, a lot of you work for organizations that are incredibly task oriented. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of product coming in, pricing, cleanups, customer shipments. We got a yard out back. Oh my God, we got all these things going on. You need to be really clear about what your top objectives and standards are. Like if you're not all paddling in the same direction towards your top objectives, your sales, your average basket, your shrink rates, your conversion rates, your items per sales, your email attachment, whatever they are. And if you're not all paddling in the same direction towards your key company standards, well, nobody knows what direction to run in. And that's the problem. We need to suddenly find a way to go, hey guys, just so you know, these are our objectives. These are what our standards are. These are the things that are most important. Evaluate your performance on a monthly or weekly basis using almost like a balanced scorecard. Like if you're a manager in an organization that we work with, we would normally have a simple one-page form in the back room. Months are down the side. Across the columns at the top are the key objectives and the standards, right? And on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, we're just constantly updating it, right? We're highlighting it in different colors, putting stars on it. Everybody knows every week or every month exactly how we're doing, right? It becomes a focal point for everybody because now I can see at a glance whether I'm a part-time or full-timer, assistant manager or manager, where we're supposed to be going and exactly how it is we're doing. And then we start to build those objectives and standards into our daily operations, in your daily shift starters. And I don't know if I'm just getting a little tired of talking about shift starters. If you're not running a daily shift starter, and when I say daily, I don't just mean at the beginning of the day, I mean at the beginning of everybody's shift, you're really falling behind. It is the single most important 3 to 5 minutes of everybody's shift. How they get started is how the rest of the day is going to go. It's your chance to set targets, to be able to talk about results, to build accountabilities, to provide training and coaching, to provide recognition, to build relationships, to have some fun, to build teams, to assign tasks, to get people understanding what the special projects. Like I can do that in 3 to 5 minutes. That's why this is so important, is that we run these shift starters. Then, we always want you to sell more. And then you look at it as a manager and it's so hard because you go, okay, I know we got to sell more. I got to get my staff to work smarter and harder. I mean, you don't select the product, you don't set the prices, you don't do the promotions, you didn't do the store design. Your lever that you pull is going to be your staff. So you, you need a system for being able to drive it. And we always talk about these things, right? You need clearly defined goals. Humans are goal driven. You need a target in place. So if we want to drive better sales, okay, what is the target for it? We need to constantly then measure that performance, all right, and report it back. Here's what's expected. Here's where we're actually at. Then it's a cool thing that happens with human beings. If you tell me there's a goal and you measure me, right away, if I'm falling short, there's a sense of responsibility to pick up performance. So we need to increase accountability for achieving success, right? It's no longer we have a goal and nobody talks about it. And it doesn't mean that somebody's going to be fired, but I'll tell you, if you missed your average basket target by $5 today at the shift starter meeting tomorrow, somebody better be talking about the $5 and talking about three things we could have done better yesterday and the five things we're going to do better today to ensure that we achieve our average basket results, right? Because if nobody's talking about it, then why should anybody care about these numbers? The fourth part is to provide more training and coaching, right? So if I'm going to give somebody a goal, an expectation, it's my responsibility to give them the training and the coaching that they need to achieve that goal. And lastly, then it's got to be worthwhile because the first three on this list, goals, measure, and accountability, it's kind of like putting your hand very lovingly on their back and pushing them forward. It's like saying, here's what you need to do. Here's how you're doing. Oh, by the way, you have to do it. That's the first three. The last one is when they look over their shoulder and they go, so what's in it for me? That's make it worthwhile. What's your robust, comprehensive, daily reward and recognition program so your staff know it's infinitely worth their while to win the game, right? And for those of you who worked with me before, you already know what I was talking about. I was talking about what we call the five foundations. Those five things are the exact same five things that I have over here, just in a nicer graphic over here. It is the single most impactful thing that we talk about with our clients because it's the systematic approach to creating a sales culture. It's how we get people to work smarter and harder. And think about that. If you could get your staff to work smarter and then to work harder, how much more could they sell? 10%, 15, 18, 22. We see this happen all the time. Why? Because we're no longer just trying to sell more. We have a process, a system in place, right? You think about the dozens of ideas you could create to keep everybody focused on the goals. The dozens of ideas on how to share results, to drive accountability, to provide more training, to make it worthwhile. You could create dozens of these ideas and in the process solve the problem of not having a foundational approach to driving your sales. Oh, and then this one. Oh, allowing poor performers to exist too long on the schedule. Um, it's gotten a little easier to hire staff. We went through that period of time in retail where we couldn't find anybody. We were just using the mirror test. If they could fog it, we would hire them. It's gotten better now, but we still allow poor performers to last too long on the schedule. And we're going to talk about that because just it just erodes everything that you're trying to accomplish. You lose the top performers because they don't want to work with the duds. Your stress level goes up. The customer experience, they get stuck working with the poor performer. That's terrible. Now we lose customers along the way. It's a drain on everybody. Now, listen, I'm the first one to tell you it's our responsibility to make them successful. So I'm not one to cut bait quickly. It's like, no, no, I'll go to the end of the earth to make you successful, provided you come to work every day with the right attitude and with effort. I can't coach effort or attitude. If you give me attitude, no, I didn't mean it like, if you give me the proper attitude and you give me high levels of effort, I will do anything to make you successful. If you don't choose the right attitude and you don't give me effort, I'm not going to put in any effort, right? Because you can't. Like there's nothing there, right? Set minimum standards for performance. What is it? If you're in an organization that tracks individual sales, this is pretty easy. If you don't track individual sales, that's okay. You still have other standards of performance. There's overall customer experience. There is total store performance metrics along the way as well. Learn how to deal with conflict. It's inevitable. Most of us avoid conflict. You just need some simple strategies to be able to deal effectively with the content. So when you see it, you know what to do. You know how to approach it. If you want to eliminate poor performers, you need to provide more feedback, right? We talk about this number 40 all the time with store managers. We teach people this model for feedback called fair feedback. And I often say to them, you should be delivering 40 fair feedback statements every single shift. And people go, oh my God, that's a lot. But then I remind them that we always talk about 90% of the feedback that you provide should be positive, catching people doing something right. So now, 35 of those feedback statements are catching your staff doing something right. Think about the amazing store environment that you're starting to create. But then the other five, you're correcting people's behaviors before they become catastrophic, right? We get on top of these things. 5-minute coaching sessions weekly. I'm a big fan of a manager sitting down one on one or a small group with the individual and just talking about performance, talking about what's working, talking about what their frustrations are, talking about how we're going to get better, what the plan is for the coming week. If we invest time in our staff, relationships go up, performance goes up, staff turnover rates go down. If we ignore our staff because we're too busy, what do we expect? Right? They're going to wander. They're going to be complacent. They're going to make mistakes along the way. They're well intended. Most people want to win, but if we're not showing them how to win, how are they going to do it? And think about this, just to stress you guys out just a wee little bit. Um, if you were if you were to characterize or categorize your staff as either an A, B, or C performer, A's are your stars, right, along the way. The B's are your average performers, right, doing a pretty good job, right, not stealing too much, I always say. And the C performers, well, we know who they are, right? They tricked you in the interview, or maybe they're related to the boss. That's why they're still working there. If I asked you to evaluate your staff, I'm not saying this is how yours would be, but this is kind of common. 20% are A's, 60% are B's, and 20 are C's. Think about it like this, though. What if there's no such thing as a B rating? You're either an A or you're a C. And here's the rationale. And don't get too panicked and don't go and fire everybody this afternoon. That's not the objective. You don't grow your business with B's. B's represent the status quo. The status quo is just death waiting to happen. You can't afford to have that many employees be average in the middle. You need more A performers. Those are the ones we're going to drive. So now the objective here is not to go and get, listen, you can't afford to have any C's on your schedule, right? At all. They quickly become a B or they have to go and work for somebody else. That's as simple as it can be. But your B's, you can't allow 60%, if that's your number, to be average. That's the reason you don't hit your conversion rate numbers. It's the reason your sales aren't where they're supposed to be. Like it's just the reality. And so I give this to you as that little kick in the butt to go, yeah, I got to get moving on making that 60 look like 40 so that I've got 40% in A's and 40% in B's. Well, that's a better world. And I'm going to get rid of the C's. So they're going to slide over to B's. Okay, well, now all of a sudden I can start to build my business. I can start to achieve more success with my teams. Oh, and then we get to the painful one. I always don't like it when this comes up. This is supposed to be a nice conversation, right? Accepting non-compliance on standards. Listen, standards are those minimum non-negotiable expectations of performance, right? So they're the minimums, right? And you all have standards, right? Think about it. Show up on time, wear your uniform. There's housekeeping standards, some merchandising standards, a couple customer service standards. Maybe there's some safety standards, maybe a selling standard, some standards of things that we want done at the cash desk, right? From a cash management, fraud protection, or maybe from an email capture loyalty sign. Like they're fairly simple. They're just minimums and they're non-negotiable. But it's interesting. If you thought about this for a moment, and don't do this right now, but if I asked you to think about all your standards that you have and put them in a hat and stir them up, and to give your store a score on compliance on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 meaning we're great at this, we're perfect. 1 is, well, you wouldn't be here today if you were 1, that you would have been eliminated. If you thought about what your average score is, most of you would rate your store as a 6, a 7, and some people are incredibly proud. They say 8. In your score is the problem. Anything less than a 10 out of 10 is failure. It's the reason why retail doesn't work. The definition, go back to the definition. Minimum non-negotiable expectations. They're minimums. These are not hard things, right? These are just basic things that we expect people to do on an ongoing basis. Okay, well, if those are minimums and they're non-negotiable, they represent the brand promise. They represent your customer experience promise, your staff experience promise, your financial requirements, your safety requirement. Like we have a right to run the store the right way. And I say to people all the time, I mean, do you pay your staff on time? Every week, every other week? Do you pay them the right amount? Yeah. Oh, okay. So we have a right to run our store the right way. Now, don't misunderstand. Non-compliance is not a staff problem. It's a management problem. It's because we allow it to happen in our store. And we're going to eventually have enough chutzpah, confidence to run it the right way. So let me give you some simple things to do. First off, you have to define what your top 10 standards are. Maybe it's seven, maybe it's 15. It doesn't really matter. If you don't have a list of what your standards are posted in the back room, that's problem number one. How is anybody supposed to comply with your standards if they don't know what they are? Get them written down, figure them out, maybe do it collaboratively with your staff. Ask your head office, what are our standards? They may or may not know the answer. Give everybody an understanding of what they are so they can achieve them along the way. Make sure everybody knows what they are, has the ability to meet them. Get on the floor. Watch people doing this thing, right? And remember, a 10 out of 10 is the only acceptable answer. For those who are running shift starters, daily huddles out there, have a standard of the day. Every day, just talk about a different standard. Every day, right? If you have a list of 10, at the end of 10 days, go back to number one. Talk about it, right? Does everybody understand what the standard is? That we understand why it's important. Where would you evaluate us as a group with that standard when it comes to compliance right now? What are our gaps? What do we need to do? Why is this so important? Who's going to champion this in the store this today to ensure that we're on top of the standard? Do that for a month. I promise you your standards are much better along the way. Oh, this is the evolution of retail right here. Maybe the most important thing for you all to understand. We focus on a great customer experience, but not a great staff experience. I promise you this. If your staff experience is not great, the customer experience won't be great either. And if the customer experience isn't great, your results aren't going to be great. However, if the staff experience is great, guess what? The customer experience is going to be great. And if the customer experience is great, guess what? Your sales, your results are going to be great. Your job as the manager, first and foremost, is to develop talent and to create an amazing work experience for everybody that's in your store. When you succeed at doing that, guess what? Everything goes better. Turnover rates go down. Customer complaints go down. Frequency of customer shops go up. Average basket goes up. Conversion rate goes up. Your sales go up. Why? Because you put your staff first. This is not chicken and the egg. And it's not saying the customer experience isn't important, but until such time as we create an amazing staff experience, nothing else is going to happen, right? We'll just continue to be mundane, stuck in the middle, uninspiring, high staff turnover, great customer friction environments. That's all we're going to. Staff stir the drink, right? So let's talk about these things. Make your teams feel valued and make sure that they're doing work that's meaningful to them, not to you, to them. Know what it is that floats their boat. Why do they come to work? Provide that to them as often as you can. Create a great store environment. These things don't just happen. They get created by things that the manager does or doesn't do, right? So I say to people all the time, if I was a manager, create a list of the 5 adjectives that you would want to use to describe the ideal store environment. What are they? Is it fun? It's emotional, psychologically and physically. It's safe. It's challenging. It's productive. It's a learning environment, right? Who knows, right, what it is? But that's the idea. All right. Let's see. My amazing staff make just about the same as my newer staff. They don't want to perform to the full potential because they feel they deserve more, but I don't have room in my budget. Oh no! How would I go about getting the full potential without raises? If we get better sales, raises could happen. It's a really great question, right? But it's think about it like this. Money is never a motivator, but it can be a demotivator, right? And then what you're talking about is the demotivator thing. But the reality is, if you doubled your staff's pay, they're not going to work any harder, right? Maybe for 24, maybe for 48 hours. So the reality is inside your organization where you don't control the pay, so what can you do? And that's where you get into recognition. And you go, okay, how can I make them still feel more valued? How can I give them additional responsibility that they will want? How can I give them a soft title that they may see value in? What are the other things that I can do to be able to support them along the way? I've got hands raised over here. There's a Q&A. Oh, I already answered that one. Okay, so how do I get that off there so I don't see it? And there was a hand up as well. Sorry, when you have your hand up when I'm doing a webinar format, it doesn't work so well. I can't really see it, so you'll have to forgive me. View attendees. Kenny Crisp. Do me a favor, Kenny. Could you just type it into the chat box for me? All right, that'll work a lot better. All right, along the way, and I'll do my best to keep an eye on it, and I'll do my best to be able to do this. Where's a good place to look for the 10 minimum standards? That's not something I have in place. Okay, so without being facetious or a smartass, look in your store. What are those things that are most important that define your store? Think about it, and think about it like this. Maybe there's one, two, or three related to how we merchandise the product. Maybe there's one, two, or three about how we deal with customers in the store. Maybe there's one, two, or three related to expectations that I have with the staff in the store. Maybe there's one or two related to safety, right? That's the how we go about defining these things, right? What do you, instead of calling them standards, what are your points of pride? What are the 10 things you promise you will do as a team every single day that if we do those, we are representing the best version of ourselves, right? That's the idea when you go through it. And listen, throw it into ChatGPT. Say, hey, describe your retail store. Say, I need help creating a list of 10 standards. What would you recommend? Give me 3 for merchandising, 3 for staff, 3 for customers, right? 1 about how to answer the phone. I don't know, right? I can't create it for you because they're so individual for each individual store. But back to this point here, sorry about that. Build a great store environment. I think I said create a list of 5 adjectives that would describe the great environment, and then think about all the things you can do as a manager to make those things come true so that you're no longer just having it happen organically. It's like, no, no, I'm going to get working on creating an environment in my store staff are going to love to come to. I want to have a store where people are so excited to come to work. The last thing you want your staff to do is to come in and work a shift. It's like, oh my God, how awful is that? Why are you working? Well, I was on the schedule. Oh, no, no. When you come into my store, it's a great place. We're a great team. We're having fun. We got stuff to do. We're accomplishing stuff. We're learning stuff. We're winning the game, right? Like there's no more I just come in and I work, right? Have a great reward and recognition program in place. There's so much stuff you can do that doesn't cost you a nickel, right? As a manager in your store, have more fun in the store and recognize the value of flexibility of coaching, training, and development. If I do those things, I mean, there's so much more to it. This is a quick webinar. If I do those things, guess what? The staff experience is better. If you just thought about this, my staff felt valued, they're doing meaningful work, have a great store environment, they get lots of reward and recognition, we're having fun, I give them some flexibility, I'm always teaching them, I'm coaching them, training them, giving them development. I'm telling you, you're on your way to creating a really good staff experience, right? That's the idea. And like go deeper than that. But every week, you and your management team, you should be sitting down and having a conversation that goes, what's our plan this week to make this the greatest place to work? What are we doing? Because if you don't have that conversation, it's just happening to you. You're not making it happen. What's the plan this week? Maybe it's by department. If you're a smaller store, it's just for the whole store. What are we going to do? And be intentional about it. All right. Chasing metrics without a plan. Okay. You've all been told to sell more. You've all been told to increase your average sale, items per sale, conversion rate, email capture, loyalty capture, whatever it is. You've all been told to do this. And our numbers just don't move. Average basket doesn't move. Items per sale doesn't move. Conversion rate doesn't move. And I just look at this and I kind of go, wait a minute. we need to kind of build a plan. Like when we work with managers on how to drive, and let's talk about average sale, average basket. I always say, okay, let's create as many ideas as we can to improve average basket. Oh my goodness, amazing ideas, long list of ideas. And then I always look at it and like, okay, well, if we know all this stuff, why isn't it higher? Because if we did all that stuff, it would be higher. The difference is you have to know how to create it as a plan. That's the difference. There's a way to create a plan, taking all that content that ensures it actually gets executed. That's the idea. It starts though that you have to understand the financials behind the business. Like we teach a module to our clients that go through our programs um, about the business of the business, like financial statements, margin, inventory turnover, cash flow, shrinkage. Like, I mean, the reality of the bottom line. If you don't understand that, it's really hard to understand the decisions your company makes, and it's really hard for you to make the best decisions yourself. And then you got to be able to go, I take all my ideas for Average Basket, and now I learn how to create a proper action plan that gets it done. Here's the biggest problem. Um, we promote somebody to be a manager, and then we don't teach them how to manage. And it's the craziest thing, right? Like most people that are in a store manager role, and listen, and kudos to you guys because you have figured this out quite often with help from your organization and sometimes just on your own. We take great salespeople and we make them store managers. We take great store managers, we make them a district manager. There is no correlation to being a salesperson and being a store manager, and there's no correlation between being a district manager responsible for 12 or 20 stores and running one store. But we do this all the time. And here's what the usual manager training looks like. We teach you how to schedule, to do the inventory, to receive stuff, all the paperwork, our processes. What's the hardest part of the job? It's your people, right? What's the one lever you pull that makes an impact in your store? People. You don't control product, price, promotion, store design. You probably aren't even allowed to choose the music in your store, right? But we hire the people, we train them, we coach them, lead them, we motivate them, we engage them, we get them to work smarter and harder. That's the game. But that's the gap when we talk about manager training. And it's evolved and good for retail because we're getting better at this as a group out there. It's so important because we all know for a long time customers have been more demanding. But your staff now are more knowledgeable and demanding. They are demanding a better work experience. They're not prepared to work for somebody that's not like highly skilled, driven, that has their best interests at heart. We know the competition is getting better every day. And the reality is, everybody on the line here today, all of you, right? You know that you should be getting better performance from your staff, yourself, and the bottom line. Full stop. Those are 10 real challenges. And hopefully you got some value out of it. Listen, in these webinars, we go through these things really fast, right? Because there's a limited amount of time. You guys have a real job that you have to be able to get back to. And we hope that not just identify what the challenge is, but we give you at least some starting points to start to think about solving some of these problems along the way. But I just want to take a moment. One of the things that I always do, and I think it's a fair trade, is I'm happy to share all that information with you in these things, is to talk to you about some things that we do here at Graph. And so some of you have already been through this program. I saw the participant list. I've already been through this program. We have put thousands of retail managers through this program. This is by far the single best learning experience we've created for store managers in 30 odd years. It's amazing to me that we never really thought about how to do this, right? How to create this program before. Shannon, I'm going to get to your question in just a minute. I just saw that come in, by the way. That's the same question there. So Shannon, let me come back to that. This kicks off on May 4th, by the way. I want to describe this program to you, and if it makes sense for you or somebody in your organization, then by all means, reach out to it. It's the Certificate of Excellence in Retail Store Management. It's a virtual program. This program runs over 7 weeks. There's no time out of the store. There's no travel. No need to schedule anybody else to cover your time in the store. I'll walk you through what the schedule looks like, but it is an amazing program that looks at all kinds of different topics, some of which I referenced here today. The benefits of this thing, you can see that graphic on the left-hand side. What we designed these programs from the bottom up. Like, what's the problem we're trying to solve? We got to get turnover rates down. We show you how to do that. We show you how to reduce complaints, get better KPI results, stronger standards, more motivated and engaged teams, less performance problems, better store results, less stress, a better run store in 7 weeks. I mean, that's a lot to cover in 7 weeks, but we cover it all. And you can see the content here. Remember that graphic about the 5 foundations? I tell people all the time, if you just got that module right, if you just did that, this program would pay for itself 1,000 times over. We talk about how to hire and keep your talent, get your turnover rates down, run better interviews, building motivated, engaged teams, actual strategies to build motivation, behaviors, and engagement, intrinsic feelings, right? It's a massive module, right? But now all of a sudden you know what to do to be able to get the best out of your people. We talk about strategies to drive your metrics and how to build those action plans that I referenced. We talk about the business of business, retail math. We give everybody an Advil if they don't like numbers because we jump into the numbers, but everybody has a better appreciation of what it takes to run a successful business. Achieving compliance on standards. How do you actually get to a 10 out of 10? We demystify that, show you the 5 things you've got to get right to actually get your compliance. And then, of highest value for most managers dealing with performance problems, how do you have those difficult conversations with your staff? When they're painting outside the lines, when they're not doing things that they're supposed to do, how do you have a professional, productive conversation where nobody cries, nobody's stressed out, performance just improves? That's the drive in the program. Here's how this program works. On a Monday, we give you a little bit of pre-work. Don't worry about it. It's 5 minutes. It's a TED Talk. It's a YouTube video. It just opens your mind up. And then on a Tuesday, you come to a live virtual event. It's an hour. It's like this. But instead of racing through 10 things, I talk about one issue. We're talking about the 5 foundations for an hour. I give you in-depth knowledge about what it means, how it works, and what you need to do when you go back. But then you get to go and work on your weekly assignments. Every week we give you an assignment, not a school assignment. We give you a couple of assignments that force you to apply what we've talked about this week in your store. So every week, your store gets better. You see improved results every single week. But then it gets even a little bit better. You come back for one more 45-minute to an hour session where we'll assign you to a peer group of other Bright Store managers from other retailers. Okay, so now you show up and with pride, talk about the assignments that you did, what you learned, how they went, what the impact was. But then you get to hear from 5, 6, or 7 other managers how they're handling the situation. It's amazing what it is you can learn along the way. That's a really quick overview of the program. For the program in May, I think we're already at 50 people in here. That early adopter price, and actually that's not the right price that I have on there. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I guess that's what I'm going to tell you. You can be. The program's $7.95. The early adopter is $6.95. That's not the. Oh, and the rate dates aren't on there. Let me go back here. That's the one. Oh my God. That's the slide you want to see. The early bird price, by the way, expires today. If you're in this program, that's not fair to if you haven't known about this program to tell you that you have to until today. I'll extend it to the end of this week, but then it goes to $7.95. We already have like 50 people into this program right now. We'll end up with probably 80 or 90 people as we always do in this program. Just send an email to solutions@graphretail.com. You can send it to me. Just go, listen, I was in your webinar. Graph said he would extend the early bird out. Eva will take care of you. She'll send you a registration form. It'll be a piece of cake. It is a game-changing program. I will tell you this, every organization that has ever sent anybody to the program always signs up more people for the subsequent programs. That's the idea of this program. Okay, I got a bunch of chats coming in here. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I got to go back. So everybody bear with me for a second. I'm going to go through these chats. How do you help a staff member who has confidence issues? They know the answer to the question and have asked the question before, but they still just ask just to make sure. Oh, great question, Shannon. Thank you very much. Confidence. First off, what's confidence? Where does it come from? It comes from repeated success. You can't well, you can fake confidence, but from having competed success with something over and over again is how you build confidence. It sounds like this employee may have found that completed success. But now, what you may want to consider, and Shannon, everything's in context, so please bear with me on this. Everything's in context. As a manager, anytime somebody comes to you with a question, don't answer their question. Just go, great question. What do you think you should do? What have you done in the past that's worked? And if they go, I'm not too sure, just go, no problem. Why don't you think about it for a couple of minutes and then come back and see me with a couple of options that you think might work, and we'll talk about it from there. Now, everything's in context. If they're dealing with a customer, you're going to have to help them out. But the idea is to create autonomy in these people. Because if we keep answering their questions, they'll keep asking their questions. So make them autonomous by going, well, great question, but what do you think you should do? Tell you what, why don't you think about it and come back to me? So they eventually learn before they come to you, have an answer, and then they eventually learn that they always have the right answer, so they stop coming to you. Oh, that's great, Rachel. We'll see you in the program. I'm a furniture, appliance, and mattress store with a commission-based sales team. Does this work for this course? Of course it works for this course, right? If you know, you put it this way. I say this all the time. I'll give this to you as an example. We have organizations that run thrift stores with volunteers. They come to this program and they're working with volunteers. And I always go, well, they're volunteers, I know, but they're human beings before they're a volunteer. And your staff are human beings before they're a commission-based sales team, right? And Jacqueline, I would suggest to you, you may actually get more value out of it. Reason being, you've got people that are supposed to be already driving and they are clearly defined to go, oh, wait a minute, I'm here to sell something, right? So I would do it. Ahmed, that's very kind of you. Ahmed Huri, he runs a retailer over in Saudi Arabia. He's in the program that's running right now. Thank you, Ahmed. The program is highly recommended for those that want to learn more. A lot of key valuable information worth every dollar. That is so very kind for you. Thank you, Faye, as always, for coming into this thing. Glad you enjoyed it. Do you offer it at other times of the year, as May is our busiest month of the year? Yes, Warren, we run it 3 times a year. We'll be running it in September again. All right. I typically run it in January, May, and September. Is there another boot camp after the May-June one? I'd love to attend, but I'm on holidays. Hey, Brianna, just so you know, I'm on holidays, but I'm dialing in from vacation. I'm just saying. Yeah, we'll be running it again in September. Thank you, Anne, very much. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Can I post the email to send to the app? Can you post the email? Yeah, hold on one second. Solutions at craftretail.com. Wait a minute, I gotta send that to everybody. There you go. I just posted it. So if you're in the chat, you'll be able to see that. All right. Oh, that's good. Andrew, thank you. I'm one of the thrift store managers. I've been learning from Kevin. I agree. Enjoy the learning even more. If we're doing things differently and suddenly start changing, that's more like a cultural change. How do you manage that with people who are a bit uncomfortable and push a little bit? Ritvik, really good question. Culture change, that's a big thing. And listen, we've been involved with organizations where we change the culture. But it's not really changing the culture, right? I'm not sure what organization you're with, Ritvik, but think about it like this. You know, the expectations that we've had of our staff probably haven't changed from the time we hired them to now. Like we're customer service driven organizations. We have a requirement to hit a sales target, which is supported by other key metrics like average basket items per sale, conversion rate. We wait on customers. We merchandise the store. If I'm raising the bar, changing the culture, on performance, am I really am I really changing culture, or am I just going, guys, no, we're going to run the store the right way. We're going to run a more high performance store. And listen, at the end of the day, believe me when I tell you this, your staff will be happier, right? As we go through this thing. All right. So hopefully that helps a wee little bit. Thank you very much, David. Appreciate it. I can test for this. A great course in learning from other managers is great to get different solutions. Yeah, it's one of my favorite parts of the program is the peer learning on this thing. All right. That's a bit of a glimpse of this program, but more importantly, I hope you guys got a lot of value out of the webinar, just even on its own. Be proud of the work you guys do. It's incredibly important. I say it is a privilege. It is an honor for you to be able to impact your staff, to build their confidence and their success in the store. Because when we create their confidence and success in the store, that goes back with them to their families and to their communities. And that's part of the gift that you give to them. So with that, I thank you guys very much. I'll look forward to hopefully seeing some of you in the virtual boot camp. Reach out at any time. We are here to help. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.